Hi there, welcome to bitesizeblender.com. Again, this short tutorial, this will teach you a few things about getting around Blender, especially the use of the keyboard and the mouse. Blender is always a two-handed job. You've got to have your left hand on the keyboard and your right hand on the mouse. Unless you're left-handed, you'll have it the other way around. Most people start up Blender and one of the key things that they want to do is to select an object, and they use the left mouse button, and all that happens is this target seems to go around the screen and it gets very frustrating. Blender by default will use the right mouse key to select an object. So right mouse select and it's highlighted. Same with the light, same with the camera. If I select the default cube, another key one in Blender is the tab key. Tab will toggle you between your object mode, which is listed down here, and your edit mode, so I can switch between the two. Remember, you've got to be within your window here, your 3D window, in order for these keys to work. So if I'm outside my window and I hit tab, absolutely nothing's going to happen. Move back inside my window, hit tab, and it's there. Blender is very aware about which window you're in with your cursor, and it'll work with you on that. The navigation around the 3D view world is very easy in Blender, as long as you can use your left hand and your right hand together, whether it's with keyboard and mouse, in which hand, it doesn't matter. So for instance, if I want to zoom in and zoom out in my 3D, I can use my scroll wheel. I scroll forwards, I'm zooming in, scroll out, likewise. If you want to have a look around the universe here, I can hold down the shift key and depress the mouse wheel, and now start to drag the mouse around, and I'm moving around in 3D space. Likewise, I can do the same with the control key, and I can hold down the mouse and I start to pan in and out. If I don't use the keyboard and only the mouse, and I depress the mouse wheel and move around, I start to rotate around the object, and I can move it forwards and backwards. I'm underneath and I'm on top. It gets quite tricky to understand where you are in 3D space, so quite often you might want to use the numeric keypad, which the numbers 1 through 9 will get you to different viewports, 1 being your front, 2 is a user perspective, 3 you'll be on your right hand side, 4 again user perspective, 6 is user, 5 switches you between perspective and orthographic mode, which will be covered in different tutorials. We'll go back 5 to perspective, so we get a nice 3D environment. 7 we're going on to top, 8's user, and 9 is user. You can always use the alternate, so if you're on the front and you want to actually switch to the back side, you can use the control and the same number key, so control and 1 switches you from front to back, the same as if I was on 7 on the top, control and 7 gets me to my bottom, my underneath view. 0 will always bring you back to your camera view, which is always a good way to work, and then you can zoom in a little bit. This is the pass-per-2 for the camera view, so we can zoom right into that. Quite often, let's say you're in the front view and you're working on something quite detailed, you want to actually scroll a little bit to the left, to the right, you can actually use the shift key. So if I hold the shift and I scroll wheel up and I scroll wheel down, and likewise I can hold the control key and I can scroll forwards going left and backwards going right. It's a very good way to have nice little bit of extra control rather than actually just going into a 3D, but you're going to have to really get used to your shift, control, or scroll, and using the depression of the scroll wheel to drag things around. A lovely function which will always get you out of trouble is if you right click and select an object and you want it to be the center of the focus, you can hit the delete key on the numeric keypad and it'll bring it to the very center of your viewport. So if I hit the cube, that's my default view and I'm straight there, which is brilliant, especially if you've got hundreds of objects in a scene and you just want to select the one. You might very well want to select it from up here, from your objects, and you go into your 3D viewport and you hit delete and straight away it's in the center of your viewport. One other key which I'll mention quickly is the space key. quite often if you want to add an object or you want to do something in Blender and you're not entirely sure what, you can hit the space key. It brings up this great little search window and you can search for something. So if you think, oh, I want to add a torus, you can start typing torus. Immediately you get add torus, and not only does it give you that torus straight away, and you're there. So I can move that torus around now, rotate it and use it. But likewise, when you start, it also gives you lots of other information about what to do, what you can do with different objects. Okay, that's it for this quick tutorial about using the keyboard and the mouse. Hopefully you'll join us in the next tutorial. Thank you.